Hey guys, yesterday we had so much fun on the homestead. A friend of mine brought his kids over and we just played on the homestead with all the things. I wasn't able to take any video because it was kind of like herding cats in a fun way, but they were like 8 to 2, so yeah, I had my hands full, but I really enjoyed it. So because they were coming, I put my hot mess of a compost pile right over there to get it out of the middle of the yard. And together we spread out a beautiful bale of straw, which the chickens will pick through and eat all the seeds, and then eventually that will end up being compost. We threw scratch to the chickens. We gathered eggs. Beautiful. Now we tried to settle our broody hen up here on some eggs. A nice little passel of varied eggs. But unfortunately, I do not think we were successful. Because, look, she's not on the eggs. Obviously, she's down here. As I explained last video, if you have a broody hen, if I leave her in the barnyard where the other hens are laying, they'll just scooch up beside her, keep laying eggs under her, and I won't know which are new eggs, which are the eggs she started hatching. So that doesn't really work. I'm wondering, how do you guys handle that when you have a barnyard full of chickens? Somebody wants to go broody, but the other chickens, you know, keep adding. So we tried to put her, the idea was to put her in this separate space where she could sit on those eggs and be watered and fed, and yeah, and we would have chicks, but it didn't work. So yeah, what do you guys do? Let me know in the comments, please. We pet rabbits together. And we played with baby bunnies. Look at that, you guys. Look at that baby. So sweet. So sweet and chubby. Good mama. Good mama. We weeded and planted a whole bed of daikon radish. Those are those big white long radishes, and you can roast them in the oven. They're really good. So I'm gonna invite them back when they're up and big and we can harvest, and I can send them home with them to roast them. And I harvested some kale for them, so they got to try kale for the first time. And their dad said they loved it. Victory. Garden victory right there. And we snapped off fresh broccoli and ate it. Look at all this broccoli, you guys. This was kind of an experiment to do some broccoli in containers all winter, so they had to be covered. And at one point I put them in my garage during a really deep freeze, but they made it and they produced some broccoli. This is this is gonna be a good meal. Plus we ate quite a bit, so yay! We watched the bees come and go from my aquaponics system. We got to check out the fish down here. If you guys are new, this is an aquaponics system that my son built. I'll link up to a video where we set it up so you can see exactly how it's set up. It's very cool. We're gonna plant in it today. Today's the day. Yes. And of course, feeding the fish, which is fun. Oh, and I can't forget they ate flowers for the first time. These little violas are edible. So that was fun to see their expressions as they ate a flower for the first time. Have you ever eaten a flower? Leave it down in the comments. Fun gardening thing. If you live in Dallas, Texas, at least like I do, you can grow a lot of greens in the winter, and then you can also grow violas or pansies. And so you can make a big, beautiful green salad, and then you can put beautiful flowers on the top. So that's pretty special. And they even take a freeze like I did. You need to cover them with leaves, like shredded leaves, if it's a really hard freeze. That's what I did when it was a couple of days really hard freeze. I covered them with leaves, but they came back just fine. And these pots, I think, if you have them in pots, I took these inside during the hard freeze. So yeah. But yeah, it's very impressive to have a big salad of greens with beautiful flowers in it, especially around like for Easter, as it's just starting to warm up. So that's always fun. I love it when kids can just come in my garden and snap off stuff and eat it. That just thrills me. And I love having kids on the homestead. So that was really, really fun. We just had a blast together. Note to self though, whenever I have people on the homestead, I learn something every time, especially having kids on the homestead. And what I learned this time, which I'm gonna do, is buy more hand tools, because they were fighting over ones that were different. And then one of them tried to use like a long handled tool and was kind of hitting the other ones by mistake with the long handle, you know. So gonna need some more hand tools on the homestead. So that's a good thing. Good thing to learn. I'm learning about having people on my homestead. That is kind of my dream, is to have more and more people. I want it to be a teaching homestead, and I just love having kids on my homestead, and they're always learning too, and learning to even eat new things and enjoy it. Yeah, so cool. Okay, you guys, I am super excited about planting for the first time in my new aquaponics system that my son gave me. And I know I had talked about, it's good that it's a cold, rainy day, so there are not that many bees. When it's sunny, the bees are just covering this. They're drinking, so it's a good day to do it. I only see one or two. So I talked about replacing these lava rocks with those little clay balls about marble size that a lot of people use in their aquaponics system. They're pretty expensive, so I was just gonna do the first couple of inches with them. But one, I'm impatient and I want to get planting, and two, it's just not quite in the budget just right now. It happens to be. So I'm gonna try it, and I do want to try it this way and see how it will be before I replace it with something else. Okay, so let's get planting. All right, so these are my plants that I did inside. I've got some, well, the turnips and the beets I'll save for the garden because they're root vegetables, so I don't think they'll do well at aquaponics system. So we'll do spinach. I wish more of my spinach had come up, but it did not, so that was disappointing. That's okay. Broccoli, early purple sprouting broccoli. And I've got some bok choy and a baby cabbage and some Napa cabbage. So, oh, and some Swiss chard. I think that's what that is, yeah. So, this should be fun. And I started these inside, but I let them harden off for a few days, meaning they've been outside for a few days enjoying the weather. Okay, you guys, this is kind of new to me, but my son told me that I need to rinse off the roots. So this is spinach. So I'm gonna rinse off the roots and get it planted. So I guess I'll just tuck it in here. first plant planted in my new system. And just in case you guys don't know, aquaponics is a system where you use the fish to fertilize the plants. There's more bees than I thought. I'm just avoiding them. Hopefully they'll leave me be and let me plant. And it uses a siphon system, so the water fills up here and then pours out down here, and then is sucked up by a pump here and goes back up here and fills the tank again. And it keeps doing that over and over. It's really hard to see the fish, you guys, because of the reflection. You can see them a little bit there. They're tilapia, blue tilapia. Look at that, you guys. Now that looks more like a garden. And it also looks like a homestead victory. Now, a couple of things, you guys. I will have to cover this if it freezes, of course. So I need to quickly, don't want to be the last minute with a freeze and having to do this, but I need to get some hoops that I'm gonna attach to the outside wood probably, and take them over and just be able to throw over a frost cloth over them on those days that it gets below freezing. And the other thing I wanted to share with you was the reason I wanted a aquaponics system. My son had this on his balcony at an apartment, but it really didn't get the sun that it needed. One reason I really wanted to experiment with it is because in the summertime we have a really drought period in Texas, and this year I'm wanting to shut down my garden completely because you really have to weigh the expense of water compared to the vegetables, the food you're getting out of your garden. And so last year was a really bad drought, so it was a tough year. But this year I think I'm gonna try to close down my garden during the heat of the summer, do spring planting or spring harvest, and then fall, but take that, I call it the hotter than hell period, and just use my aquaponic system to grow food during that period. So I'm really excited to experiment with it, and if it works really well, I would love to do a bigger one with I think it's called an IBC tote, those big square containers, if you will. Anyway, so yeah, I'm super excited to have planted Homestead Victory. I should tell you guys that there is a heater for the fish. We keep it a nice toasty 70 degrees. So if you have any other questions about my aquaponics system, leave it in the comments and I'll try to answer them for you. One chore that I am getting used to on the homestead now is watching this water level and making sure it gets water in it. And the rest of these babies I'll have fun popping into my garden, and the beets and the turnips. This is the first time I've tried seeding beets because I don't have great germination, and beets are kind of interesting because it comes out as it's like a little packet of seeds. the one seed has a packet in it. So as you can see, they came out lots of beets. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to separate and plant them and let them survive, but we'll see. I'll give it a try. It'll be fun. The other thing I have to do today is get these beautiful tomato plants in some bigger pots. Look at that, you guys. Gorgeous. And peppers. I'm disappointing you guys because I was gonna pot up my tomatoes and this is all I have left. I forgot to get some more at the feed store. So I love this planting mix. So I'm bummed, but I will not give up. I will make my own. I have one last bag of this mix left. Raised bed mix. It has just gotten too expensive for me to buy, but I think it'll work for potting up tomatoes. Nala's after squirrels. Get him, Nala. You can do it. Get him. Nobody gets on the homestead without her permission. I'm gonna add some bunny berries to that. Now I'm going to add a little unfinished compost to that. I'm even going to see if I can get a little something out of my vermicomposting bin. I'll throw in some leaves for what I took out. Turn that into black gold, girls. Now I have something to plant my tomatoes in. Now I will probably not get all of these done, but I'm going to try my best to get as many as I can done. And this, you can see it's not as tall as some of the others. It's not because it's a baby, it's not because it was planted late, but it's because it's a Tasmanian chocolate, which is a container tomato that stays really stout, you guys. I'm going to say this is my favorite tomato. They seem to always produce well for me. They're an heirloom, so I can gather the seeds and save the seeds and plant my own, save my own seeds, so it keeps on giving. So yeah, I really like this. And they have those dark, really flavorful tomatoes. So yeah, I'm gonna do as many Tasmanian chocolates as I can right now. Well, there's two. I'm gonna try to separate gently, you guys. I did it! I think that'll work out. All right, I'm gonna get planting. Now remember, you guys, for tomatoes, in Dallas, Texas at least, we have a really short spring growing season. So that means we need to get these babies in the ground before the chance of the last freeze. So that is in mid-March. I'm gonna pop mine in the ground, and I've saved a lot of milk cartons. And again, if you haven't done yours by seed, that's okay. North Haven Gardens has got your back. They'll have tomato varieties really early for you to get them in early and get a good harvest. So I've saved these, and I'm gonna cut off the bottom of them, keep the top on, to make a little greenhouse to go over my tomatoes out in the garden every time it freezes. Then I can take them off when it's not freezing. So, ask your friends for milk jugs. Let me explain that a little bit better for you guys. In Dallas, Texas, we have a really short growing season, a spring season, and then a hotter than hell period, and then a fall growing season. So we need to get these in and get the roots established before it gets too hot. Because once it gets hot, they might still bloom, but they will not produce fruit. So, unlike a lot of places up north, our nighttime temperatures don't really fall, where that's great tomato weather because it's warm during the day and sunny, and the nighttime temperatures fall and it produces fruit from those blossoms. But that doesn't happen here in the middle, in the hotter than hell period. One of my friends said that's what she missed the most. She moved here to Dallas from Nebraska, and she said that's what she missed the most, are kind of the cooler evenings. Well, it stays pretty hot and humid. So tomatoes go in the middle of March here to get that root system established so that we can start off in that cool weather and get lots of great juicy red tomatoes. So I call it, so I can remember, PPP, plant and be prepared to protect. Plant early and be prepared to protect. Now this tomato plant is called Crimson Carmelo. Another great tasting orange medium tomato. That a little lankier, but awesome. Again, another heirloom, so I can save the seeds. I'm so glad I didn't wait to get more potting mix, because look at those tomatoes are so close together. They were getting kind of leggy because they couldn't get the sunlight. So yay. Good thing I went ahead and did them. Now I'm doing my Sun Gold Cherry, which I think is a cherry tomato that lasts the longest into the hot season. And I already did my Sunrise Bumblebee, which is a beautiful yellow tomato striped with red. It's amazing. You've got to try it. Baker's Heirloom Seeds. Look at this, you guys. The beginning of summer tomatoes. Oh, I miss that taste. Get them nicely watered. I will water them from the bottom mostly, but I just want to get all that planting mix nice and soaked, so the roots can spread out. And back under the light to recover. And I will get them out on those nice sunny Texas days to enjoy some sunshine, a little bit at a time. You guys, I got my peppers potted up too. It was a very productive day on the homestead.